Simcha, celebration, Simcha, Simcha, celebration of life.
Hi from me, Jared Epstein, and welcome to another episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. The Memorial Foundation for Jewish Culture was established by Dr. Nachum Goldman in 1964 in order to revive Jewish culture, as well as academic and Torah life, which was decimated from the Holocaust. Dr. Rabbi Jenny Friedman tells us all about supporting Jewish scholars through their grants and more.
Since 1964, our primary role has been giving grants and scholarships to individuals doing work, research, publications in all areas of Jewish cultural life. I like to say everything from art to Yiddish. We've given over 14,000 individual grants and scholarships globally. We're very proud of that work. I think it's a huge contribution to the development of Jewish cultural life in the post-war era. The Memorial Foundation currently offers 4 different types of individual grants and scholarships. So if you are a PhD student in some area of Jewish studies, again, from art to Yiddish, we have about 20 different categories. And your dissertation proposal has been approved by the university, you could be eligible for a doctoral scholarship from the MFJC. We also have what are called fellowship grants, which are for independent artists, researchers, musicians, writers, but also for people working in postdocs. We also have a third area for people who have it's called the Ephraim Orbach Postdoctoral Grant, for those who have received their PhD within the last 3 years, and granted from their university with distinction. We work in partnership with the World Union for Jewish Studies to grant Ephraim Orbach grants. And those are really to help people who are launching the beginning of a career in Jewish studies. They intend to work at a university, are pursuing a position in Jewish studies in academia. It's much harder today than it has been previously. So that's the Ephraim Orbach program. And then in 2018, the foundation launched a re-envisionment of a prior program, which was called the Rabbinic Grants Program. We put together a committee to launch what we now call the Advanced Torah Fellowship, and that is for men and for women who are pursuing advanced Torah study. They have been in Kollel, in Yeshivot for many years, and they're interested in pursuing a publishable project, a paper that links Jewish learning to the complexities of contemporary Jewish life. The kinds of applications we receive are across all areas of Jewish cultural life. We'll receive applications from artists who are putting together new works of art across different fields, whether it is in sculpture or painting. We receive applications from people who are doing work in Bible and in Jewish education and in Jewish history, whether it is ancient or medieval or modern Jewish history. We receive applications from people who are pursuing creative writing projects, literature, Hebrew language studies. We're very proud to be part of a conversation about the place of Yiddish in contemporary Jewish life. We receive applications in the field of Yiddish, but there are more people accessing Jewish life and Jewish study today than there ever have been before. So I think it's an exciting time for people to begin a journey of Jewish study, and that is that's inherent in what we do, and also because the Memorial Foundation for Jewish Culture really deals with the academic pieces of that. In the world of dissertations, there is the what are you going to study, but also the so what, like what is the contribution that study is going to make. But we're not a big foundation. It was not a big endowment, but it is monumental to support people, particularly graduate work, which can be very lonely. You're sort of tucked away in a library or tucked away in an archive, or you're doing interview after interview after interview with people. And the idea that somebody says, we've read your work and we think that it's very meaningful and we think it contributes to the larger conversation of Jewish cultural life, it's very significant for people. And so I know, particularly as financial support is not as readily available as it once was for doctoral students or for particularly for individual researchers and people pursuing independent studies, that's something that I think we really contribute to. And I think people appreciate it.
Earlier in this series, we watched as Zola collaborated with Karen Zoid in their apartment block under lockdown. Zola is a larger-than-life personality with a voice to match. Today, she tells us about her love for music, her connection to Yiddish, and the journey that brought it all together.
When I close my eyes and you are in my view, how I wish that you were mine for more than time allows, 'cause I really need to be with you right now.
I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and I was born to two Holocaust survivor parents. My mother was a famous Yiddish actress and singer. She was known as the Wunderkind of the Vilna Ghetto. Her name was Chayela Rosenthal. And my father was Xavier Piet. My mom, after the war, went to perform in Europe and in deportation camps, and joined various theater groups in Yiddish theater groups. And one of those theater groups eventually brought her to Cape Town, South Africa. And then she sent a telegram to my dad, who was in Paris at the time, and said, "We have landed in paradise. This is where I want to live. Please come now."
Everyone has a story that is yet to be told. Every life is a journey with many chapters to unfold.
As a child, I was always very into music and singing. Apparently, I was singing long before I actually uttered words, and used to sing around the house. And I would spend lots of time at the piano, and I would make up songs, make up my own music. And when I was 10, I had my big moment on stage because I sang a duet with my sister called Sisters, the old song, which was great. What I did not know for many years, because my mom didn't really talk about her family that was lost in the Holocaust, I eventually found out in my teenage years only that my late uncle, Leib Rosenthal, my mother's brother, was a very prolific songwriter in Poland and in the Vilna Ghetto. And he was very, very prominent as a writer of lyrics specifically for all the ghetto performances, the musicals that were performed in the Vilna Ghetto.
Wir leben ewig, es brennt der Welt. Wir leben ewig, ohne Groschen Geld und auf Zepuken.
One of the songs that my uncle wrote is called Mir leben ewig, which means we live forever.
Wir leben ewig, wir seien da. Wir leben ewig in jeder Show.
was an extremely powerful song when it was first sung by my mom and others, because it was a song of hope. No matter what is done to us, no matter what our enemies try to do, we will survive. We are still here. There is another song that he wrote that I introduced to Cape Town. It's a song called Ich Benk Aheim, which means I long for home.
Wenn Mensch bist jung, ist groß dein Schwung. When you are young, desire burns. You leave the nest and learn to fly, only to find you can't return. Verlost, vergesst dein Heim, dein Nest. Die Zeit kommt nicht zurück.
Throughout my life, when I've been performing and singing, it's mostly been English, and I avoided singing in Yiddish. I just never took it on because that was my mother's thing, and then it was my sister's thing. She performed, she wrote a musical about my mother's life. She performed the whole thing in Yiddish. It was her thing and my mother's thing, and I never really got involved until I was asked to sing at the Yiddish Song Festival.
Ich will noch einmal sehen mein Heim. Es ist noch als dort wie gewesen.
During the shows, I realized this is my heritage, and it gave that feel, and I may start crying now because there's the emotion coming through. It really connected me back to the Jewish Yiddishkeit. I mean, I've always felt the Jewishness, but the Yiddishkeit just goes deep into a soul level that you just can't even explain. So thinking back when I do sing and thinking now, it's a privilege to be able to sing in Yiddish and to be able to sing these songs and to share these songs, and it feels good.
My mama's flowers she would grow, my tata's favorite radio. Ich benk aheim. The steps on which I scrape my knee, the wooden gate, the lemon tree. These precious memories I keep, weil die Zeit kommt nicht zurück. Ich benk aheim. Ich benk aheim.
My love for performing comes from wanting to share music with people, because I know music makes such a difference in everybody's lives. I want to share my messages when I have something to say. I also love performing for the Jewish various groups that work, for example, Astra, Highlands House, the Cape Jewish Seniors. I love that they enjoy music so much, and if I can be a part of helping to bring joy through music and have sing-alongs with them, amazing. And particularly the Yiddish songs, because it's your roots. It's fundamentally who you are and where you came from. And we all want that connection.
For the loving listeners waiting, let the silence fall away. Your life is worth celebrating. Share your story every day. Don't hold back for fear of tears. Share the wisdom of your years. And all the whispers of your past we'll sing out loud. Bearing witness to your heart, we'll make you proud. And you will live forever in the hearts and in the minds of those you leave behind as a smile. Leave your legacy of life, your legacy of love, and we will smile. Tell your story, and we will tell your story, and we will make a difference together. Thank you for listening.
We are officially at the end of our ethics series with Chief Rabbi Warren Goldstein. In this last installment, Rabbi Goldstein focuses on service-centered leadership.
In any country in the world, there is a deep level of cynicism and skepticism when it comes to politicians. And, you know, one can say it's fair, it's unfair, but it's the reality. And how can that be addressed? And it's so important that it is addressed, because in order for society to function, leadership has to have credibility. What would be the key for political leadership to win over the support of people? And the answer to that question is found in a very important statement of our sages in Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of the Fathers, where it says, love the work and hate high position. So what does that mean? Hate high position. How can a person hate high position, and why should they? What do our sages mean by that? And what the commentators explain is that there are two dimensions to any official leadership position. There's the dimension of the privileges and the power of office, and then there is the work that can be done. And what our sages are saying is love the work, but hate that high position. And actually, what they're talking about is power. Because you see, power comes with an ability to impose oneself on other people. And it connects to another statement of our sages when describing the essence of leadership. It says in the Talmud, I give you service, not power. Because true great leadership is about recognizing the fact that it is not about an exercise of power in and of itself. It is about how to serve and to make a difference, to actually do the work. And that's the key for governments all around the world to be able to win the support of people. It is to make sure that they are living with a philosophy which says this is not about the exercise of power. This is what we can do to serve the societies that we have been elected to serve. It is about service rather than power. And that can frame an entire philosophy of government. Every decision in government, every budget decision, whatever it may be, needs to be put through the prism. How can this serve the people? Not how can this be an exercise of power? How can we make a difference to the lives of the people in this society? Not how can we impose our authority on them? Power and authority is for the purpose of service. It's not there to be what the leaders can take out of it, but what they can do for others. And a leadership which is built on the philosophy of not looking for what I can take out of it, but what I can give to others, that is a true leadership that will inspire people and win over support. But we shouldn't think this is just a message for government. This is actually a message for each and every single one of us. Because we are all in relationships and we all have opportunities to interact with people around us. And for all of us, there's going to be this challenge of the power and the benefits versus service. And therefore, in a certain way, it's very comfortable to say, well, this is a great message for the politicians, but for us it doesn't apply. It applies to each and every single one of us. In every context, take in the context of a marriage, for example. There are two dimensions to the marriage. There is what the husband and wife can take out for themselves, their rights, their privileges, their benefits, and there is what they can give to each other. A thriving, happy marriage is based on husband and wife asking, what can I do for this marriage? What can I do for my spouse? What can I do for the other to make their lives better? Not what's in it for me, what am I entitled to? What can I take out of this? If people are pulling to see what they can take out, then it is pulled apart. But if everyone is saying, what can I do for the other, then they are brought together and everyone's needs are met, but in a beautiful atmosphere of giving, not in an atmosphere of taking. So it applies to marriage, it applies to parenting, it applies to community. People in community leadership positions, people in school leadership positions. It's what we can do to help serve those around us, not what we can take out of it. That is our philosophy on all of these different dimensions, and it applies to any kind of leadership position. Take in business. Is the CEO concerned about the perks and the privileges that he or she can take out of the business, or what they can do to serve the employees, to serve shareholders, to serve society? And this is the beautiful irony of all of this, is that somehow we think, well, this is a sacrifice. That, somehow if we're just looking to take for ourselves, then we could get more, but, well, it's the right thing to do. Let's see how we can serve and to give. But the beautiful irony is that God has set up the world in such a way that when we are grabbing for ourselves, that is actually when we don't find satisfaction and we don't find blessing in what we do. But when we stop worrying about ourselves and start thinking of others and thinking not about power but about service and thinking about giving rather than taking and thinking about contributing rather than extracting benefit, when that becomes our philosophy, actually blessing is unlocked, because that's when the best is brought out of the people around us. That is when we have the deepest sense of satisfaction. And so amazingly, the more that we give, the more that we receive. Amazingly, God has created the world in such a way that the more we are able to transcend self, the more blessing that is unleashed and unlocked for who we are and for all of the people around us. That is the path of blessing. That is the path of true leadership for every part of human endeavor and every part of human society. Let us go into life asking how we can serve, how we can make a difference. And from there, God's abundant blessings will flow into our lives.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. As always, we'd love to hear from you, so please send us a Facebook message at Spirit Sister Productions. From me, Jared Epstein, and the Simcha team, remember, our lives are fashioned by our choices. First we make our choices, then our choices make us. And Frank said that, if you don't believe me.